Today we're going to install the Westin Pro Mod front bumper with optional skid plate on this 2019 new body style Ram 1500. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so we've already removed the front bumper and taped off the front of the truck to protect it for the install. Now, if you want to know how to remove the front bumper, check out our video on how to remove the front bumper on 2019 Ram 1500 new body style. All right, now the first thing we're going to do is going to go to the corner pod assemblies. We got one on each side. In your kit, you're going to have a cover that sits over top like so, but we also have with us the optional light kit, so we're going to install that in its place. If you notice, these two holes are offset towards the top. Make sure they're aligned properly. Go ahead and line them up to the holes that are in that corner piece. And we're going to use our included hardware. We've got a black Allen head bolt with a split lock washer and flat washer. That's going to go up through the bottom. And we'll also have a black serrated flange nut that goes on top. All right, now this is what it looks like coming through the front. We're going to go ahead and line everything up, get it nice and square, and then go ahead and tighten everything down with a 4mm Allen wrench. Do the other side the exact same way. All right, now we can go ahead and attach this to the main part of the bumper. What we've got is a large black bolt with a flat washer. It's going to go through, we've got two holes right on the corner, so we're going to take two of those assemblies, go through just like so, and then line them up to the two holes on the main bumper. We're going to slide those into place and then attach everything on the other side. We use on both of those a flat washer and a lock washer, followed by one of the black nuts. Just get those hand tight for right now. All right, now we're going to use one of our large yellow zinc coated bolts with a washer. Go through from this side over here into both of these holes. And next we're going to take one of our frame brackets and we're going to line this up. Now this is going to fold back towards our corner piece, and our gusseting is going to be towards the center of the vehicle. Once we get those lined up, we're going to use a provided flat washer, lock washer, and nut on each of those. Next, what we're going to do is go ahead and get this lined up exactly where we want it. Tighten these down all the way, but we're just going to snug these up hand tight because this still needs to be adjustable. We're going to repeat that on the opposite side. Now we're going to go ahead and install our light bar brackets. Now the way these orient, you've got a squared off end that's going to face to the inside of the bumper. You've got a rounded end that's going to face down. The oval hole is going to line up to two holes that are at the top of the bumper. And we're going to use the same hardware we used before. We've got a black Allen head bolt with a split lock washer and a flat washer. That's going to go through the top of the bumper and go through that light bar bracket. We've also got a serrated flange nut that we're going to put on there. We're just putting on that hand tight, and we've got a second one we're also going to put in. Put the serrated flange nut on there hand tight as well. All right, now that we've got these hand tight and this is still adjustable, we can go ahead and install our choice of 30-inch light bar. Once that's tightened down to the bracket, we can tighten the bracket down to the bumper with the 4mm Allen wrench. If you do not have sensors, you've got these caps that are going to come through the front side of the bumper and snap into these holes. If you do have sensors, you're going to have 6 sensor hole locations on the front of the bumper. What you're going to do is take your sensor, make sure you have the rubber washer pulled off of that, and also make sure your sensors are aligned the exact same way they came out of the bumper. You want them oriented properly. So what we're going to do is slide the end of the sensor through that hole. Next, we're going to take out of our kit, we're going to have a bracket. This is an L-shaped bracket. It's got a square-shaped hole in it. We're going to take our carriage bolt and drop it through that square-shaped hole and then line it up to the bracket. That's going to hold that sensor in place. Next, we're going to go ahead and use a flat washer, lock washer, and nut. And once that's in place, we're going to put pressure on that sensor as we tighten down that nut with a 10mm. All the sensors will install exactly the same way, and if you don't have sensors, just use the caps. All right, next what we're going to do is, with the help of a couple of friends, we're going to lift this up and line it up to the frame. Now this bracket right here is going to line up to the frame. I've got 3 holes in the bracket that will line up to the 3 holes in the frame. Now obviously this is a mirror image of this one because this is our driver's side and this is our passenger side, so it'll be flipped around. Once that's lined up, we're going to take our large bolt with washer, go through the bracket and in through the frame. On the opposite side of the frame, we'll throw a flat washer, lock washer, and then also a nut. We're going to go ahead and tighten these down hand tight here and here. We're just going to get these started on the corners. Next what we're going to do is grab our support bracket on each side. That's going to line up to the bolt that we've just got lined up. And now we can go ahead and install our hardware onto that bolt. And once we've got that finger tight, we can go ahead and raise up the other side of that bracket to our bumper. Now what we'll do is we'll get our black hardware. We've got a bolt and a flat washer that's going to go down through the top of the bumper into the bracket. Make sure we're not pinching any kind of wires when we're doing that. Then put another flat washer, lock washer, and nut onto that. Once we've got all this lined up and finger tight, then we can go ahead and adjust the alignment of our bumper. Once the alignment is all set on the bumper, we first tighten the bumper to the frame, and then we can come back and tighten up the bracket to the bumper. All right, now we can go ahead and tighten the bumper to the bracket. Do that on both sides. Okay, after making final adjustments, I went ahead and tightened everything down. If we're not putting on the skid plate, you're done. If you've got the skid plate, we're going to go ahead and move on. All right, so here we are at the bottom of the Pro Mod bumper. I'm going to go ahead and insert one of our clip nuts. What we've got is some threads on the back side. That's going to go behind the bumper. What I'm going to do is just slide it in place. So we're going to do that on all 4 of the front lip locations. All right, next, back here where the active valence was located, I've got a couple of 13mm head nuts. Those are going to come off. We're going to be reusing those. If you do not have that hardware, you will have some extra hardware in your kit. It's going to be a M8 nut, lock washer, and flat washer that you'll use in that place. But we're just going to use the factory hardware. We're going to do that on both sides. All right, now also on both sides, you're going to have a couple of brackets that look just like this. You're going to have a couple of oval holes that are offset. That's going to go to the location where the active valence was, and go ahead and loosely install the hardware back in place. We're going to do that on both sides. All right, now we're going to go ahead and raise our skid plate up into place. Using our supplied hardware, we're going to have an M8 bolt with a washer and lock washer. That's going to go up through into our clip nuts. And go ahead and line those up first, get those finger tight. All right, now we're going to use our supplied hardware. We've got an M10 bolt, lock washer, and flat washer. It's going to go up through the bracket. And we've got a serrated flange nut. It's going to go on behind there and hold it in place. We got 2 of those assemblies per bracket. We're going to do that on both sides. Now in the corners on each side, there's going to be one more hole that lines up to the bumper. We're going to take a supplied M8 with the M8 hardware. We've got the flat washer and lock washer. That's going to go up through. We've also got another flat washer and serrated flange nut that's going to go on the other side. Go ahead and put both of those in, hand tight. All right, next what we're going to do is use a 16mm wrench and hold the nut in place up top, and use a 6mm Allen head and tighten down our hardware. We're going to do that on both sides. Now using a 13mm, we can go ahead and tighten down the bracket to the truck. Do that on both sides. All right, next using a 5mm Allen wrench, we're going to go ahead and tighten down these 4 bolts at the front. All right, now for our corners, we're going to use a 13mm wrench to hold the nut still, and use our 5mm Allen wrench to tighten both of our corner bolts down. Well, that concludes the installation. If you have any questions, call the experts or visit us online.